Welcome back. I'd like to thank again our volunteer crew and the Shaw staff that makes this program happen every week. Our guest in this segment is Tristan Trotter. Tristan, you live in the North Park area. You've been on the show before, and we've talked about, I don't even know the name of it, but the big Bosa development that was just approved by Victoria City Council on the corner of Pandora and Vancouver. A very large project that the neighborhood did not want. And the neighborhood, I think, proposed alternatives, but those did not maximize corporate profit, and so none of that happened. So you guys lost, but what's the story? And welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again. We lost in a 6-3 decision. So the three council members who basically took our arguments and went with them were Pam Madoff, Jeremy Loveday, and Ben Isett. We were especially disappointed in Marian Alto because we thought that our arguments should resonate with her. But she voted in favor of the development as well, and along with the mayor, Lisa Helps.
And Chris Coleman, Charlene Thornton-Joe, and Ms. Lucas.
Jeff Young and
Young,
Margaret Lucas, yeah. So essentially the development calls for a first floor that covers the site.
And it's a large
essentially
site.
The site.
Yeah.
So that means you can't walk right through it unless you're a resident or paying customer. And in that first floor, they had proposed a 35,000 square foot grocery store. So people have to understand that our arguments were never about the residential aspect of the development, 210 units of housing. It was always about the commercial plan, because a big grocery store like that is going to attract traffic. They want to basically impose that traffic on Mason Street, the quietest bordering street to the development. Our arguments were that, firstly, we didn't need a big grocery store. And if it wasn't a grocery store, it could be a large other type of chain retail store, which is going to attract traffic.
You didn't want
anything.
anything
And in a green
like
city that aspires to be pedestrian-friendly and cycle-friendly, we didn't want that kind of store in downtown Victoria. We also were concerned about the impact on the local businesses, Wellburns, the small bakeries, the delis that we have now. So basically, we didn't want the big store. We didn't want the traffic impacts connected with the big store. We had argued that we wanted a walkway diagonally through the site, so that would open up the site, would allow for the possibility of a different treatment on the Mason Street side, perhaps a high-density townhouse development. And we wanted all the traffic coming in off of Pandora, where it has for, 100 years virtually.
Now, there's going to be a lot of traffic.
There's going to be a lot of
Now,
traffic.
if the traffic is already on Pandora and it's coming into the development off of Pandora, that would suit you. But what they've decided to do is bring all the traffic onto Mason Street, which is a very, very quiet one-way street, which will now be destroyed.
That's right.
And onto Vancouver, I guess.
That's right.
And
people have to understand that this is the first major development along that stretch of Vancouver. And the developer's vision and the planning department's vision are a series of potential 6-story buildings all the way up to Caledonia. So, can you imagine the impact in terms of traffic that would involve if there is further redevelopment along those lines along Vancouver?
I mean, I think what we're seeing is the Vancouverization of Victoria done in a way that maximizes profit for everybody who's involved and doesn't really care about community or neighborhood. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's what I think, because that's what they do.
And okay, this is a Vancouver development company, Bosa Properties. If anybody looks at the webcasts of the hearings, you could see that North Park neighborhood was strongly, in fact, almost unanimously opposed to the development. And the people who spoke at the microphone in favor of the development were the real estate industry, the Downtown Business Association people, the people who lived outside of the neighborhood, in Saanich, Oak Bay, what have you. The Urban Development Club at University of Victoria, which seems to attend all of the big development hearings and speaks for the proponents.
Speaks for the developers.
So it was basically money versus the people, development versus neighborhood interests. Those aspects of the official community plan, which benefit developers, versus the sort of people priority, warm and fuzzies in the OCP that benefit the people who live here now and will live here in the future. You know, the council members who voted in favor of the project stood behind the official community plan and said, the plan allows for this, so we'll give the permits. And yet they contradicted the official community plan a week or two earlier for a redevelopment at Wharf and Government, where they allowed the developer to exceed the height restrictions for Old Town. And you have to understand, the official community plan, a core idea in the plan is that you keep Old Town lower scale to preserve the pedestrian-friendly old feel of the area, and the density gets put in neighborhoods away from Old Town. So here they're allowing a doubling of height in Old Town for development, which contradicts the OCP, and yet they stand behind the OCP despite 1,200 petitioners, North Park neighborhood firmly against, the neighborhood association firmly against, and hundreds of people attending 2 nights of public hearings. The second hearing went to 2 a.m. when there were no speakers left. And of course, a lot of speakers had left because they assumed it would be adjourned again. But instead, they went to 2 a.m. I suspect a few council members were falling asleep by that point. And then they made their decision October 8th.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So it's pretty sad. I mean, my thoughts about people power and community engagement in Victoria have been changed by this 3-year process. Here at the public hearing, we had the mayor saying that people in the neighborhood who wanted to speak in favor of the development were intimidated. You know, we were highly disciplined, trying to be respectful at the hearing. We were told by the mayor not to boo or clap at the hearing, and we tried to respect that. And unsubstantiated claims about people being intimidated to speak for the development. When you're faced with a huge petition, a huge turnout by neighborhood people, and she's talking intimidation, I felt that we were empowered. The next day in the Times Colonist, there's an article that says she wants to empower neighborhoods in Victoria.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We were empowered by our own efforts without any support from city planning staff. You know, where do we go from here?
And this is a story that plays itself out in 1,000 different ways across this country on an ongoing basis. You know, the people in Alberta trying to stop the frackers, and the people in Ontario trying to stop the nuclear waste dump in Lake Huron. I mean, it's insane. And it's that same power group, the corporations, the media, the people who run the cities, the people who run the province, the people who run the country, they just stomp on us over and over again under this guise that we're a democracy when they control the politicians. And a neighborhood group like yours, I mean, you do your best, but it's a stacked deck from the beginning. and it's not right, it's not fair, and we're all at risk. They pick us off one at a time. We don't have, I don't know.
And look at this situation. We have a growing population of homeless. We've got working poor who have a difficult time finding housing in the city. So City Council, the majority on Council, bought the developer's argument, firstly that they are providing rental housing. The developer told us 3 years ago they went into rental housing because they hit a wall with the condo market. It was North Park neighborhood that pushed the developer for a covenant to maintain rental for 10 years. And going to other City Council hearings, we learned that they can buy their way out of that kind of agreement for the price of a condo.
Wow.
And then the council members also bought the developer's argument that they were providing 11 units of so-called affordable housing. This is not social housing. This is discounted housing, $737 for a 500 square foot bachelor unit. The developer wanted $205 a square foot 3 years ago for their return. That's $205, so 500 square feet, $1,000 a month. People in Northmark have the lowest median income in the city, $25,000 a year. Now, this is
Tristan,
neighborhood busting.
But we're out of time. You're absolutely right. Thank you for stating it so well. Thanks for watching this segment of Citizens Forum, and we've got to stop these kinds of things.